In the future, when you have a child, do you plan on putting him in sports? And are you aware of the pros and cons that come along with putting your child in sports? After playing sports for 15 years and studying the effects, I've realized that there are many pros and cons to putting children in sports. These pros and cons are things such as mental, physical, and social aspects of early childhood development. First, we're going to talk about physical. Putting your children in sports clearly makes them healthier. It forces them to go outside, it forces them to go play, it forces them to exercise and lose weight. In an article by the New York Times, Alex O'Connor in 2012 states that nearly 32% of children are either overweight or obese. This is an epidemic that is plaguing our society, and it needs to be fixed before it gets into early adulthood where it's very hard to stop. In a study by Stanford's Children's Hospital, they state that 3.5 million children a year are injured under the age of 14 playing sports. This is something that can easily be prevented and can easily be stopped. Things to prevent this injury from happening is things such as stretching and icing afterwards. These two things will prevent things from happening and slow them down. If an injury does happen, the best thing to do is to first go see a doctor, listen to exactly what he has to say, and to rest. Resting is very, very important because if you push further on an injury, you're more likely to get injured further. The second aspect I'm going to be talking about is mental and emotional. In an article by the LA Times in 2010, Mary Forge states, "Kids who play sports don't just benefit physically. Research shows they also do better in school, develop personal discipline, and learn how to get along with others." The most important part of that is the personal discipline. It teaches kids at a young age to control their emotions. The control of the emotions comes with failure, and which sports teaches children how to cope with failure. Coping with failure is very important because throughout life you will have many failures that you will have to overcome. And if you start teaching that at a young age and teach them how to overcome it, it will be easier for them to do that in the future. Third, I'm going to be talking about the social aspects of children's sports. It forces kids to be around other kids very much, especially kids their age. It forces them to talk and communicate with kids their age, which is a huge aspect that needs to be focused on severely. It also creates bonds. When you're around the same group of kids 2 times a week for games and also 2 times a week for practice, you start building a bond with those people because of how much you talk to them. These bonds are things that may never be broken in the future and can go very far in life. It also forces you to work as a team. When you're playing sports, you have to work as a team to succeed. There's no way that you can play as an individual on a team sport and still win. So, working as a team is something that you can take further into high school, you can take further into college, you can take further into the real world. It is very important to learn team building exercises very early, and children's sports is a very, very effective way of doing so. From experience, children's sports builds a second family pretty much. Friends that I made from a very young age are still friends that I have now. For example, I still have very, very close friends that I talk to on a daily basis that I met through sports either in high school, either t-ball at a young age or somewhere in between, but all of my closest friends are people that I've made through sports. Although injury is a very, very big con and a very big negative side, I believe that it can be prevented. And I believe that there are very, very many great benefits that come along with putting your children in sports. The positives, in my opinion, clearly outweigh the negatives because there's only one negative that can be prevented, and there are very many positives that can be shown throughout life. These many benefits include mental, physical, and social aspects of early development that will push children over the top and help them expand into their future. These things are very important, and I hope after this that you feel more confident about putting your children in sports.